TNA Wrestling reportedly are in talks with multiple suitors over a brand new television deal in the United States. Shelton Benjamin fires back at Hulk Hogan for calling him Benjamin Shelton in recent interviews. We've got the viewership information for the April 28th episode of WWE Monday Night Raw on Netflix. An update when it comes to WWE signings regarding the AAA Lucha Libre acquisition. Speaking of which, we've got the internal CMLL reaction to WWE's acquisition of their rivals. Tetsuya Naito says he isn't retiring after exiting New Japan Pro Wrestling, but is set to undergo surgery on his left eye and have stem cell treatment on his right knee. An update on a rumor that Shinsuke Nakamura had been released by WWE. We've also got details on Liv Morgan's schedule with World Wrestling Entertainment amid her recent filming over a current movie. Chelsea Green reportedly signs a new multi-year WWE contract, and Rhino is set to make his AEW debut this week. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Before we get into today's stories, you can see right there, we're currently at 21,404 subscribers. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and join the ever-expanding WNU, that being the Wrestle News universe. In addition, you can join the WN365 roster, links in the video description. You can also scan the QR code when it appears on the sidebar or click the join button. Speaking of the sidebar, you can see all upcoming watch-alongs we've got this month, including WWE Backlash this weekend will be live for a watch-along and a post-show, as well as AEW Double or Nothing later on this month. Now let's begin with TNA Wrestling and some positive news when it comes to a new television deal in the United States. Now TNA Wrestling are reportedly engaging in discussions with several potential broadcast partners over a TV deal. Since the relaunch of TNA back in early 2024, TNA have barely looked back, with a strong working relationship with WWE only boosting the promotion's exposure on an international basis. Such successes have bolstered TNA's hand when discussing plans for potential new broadcast partners, with John Alba reporting that they were reportedly talking with multiple suitors. He said, quotes, "This should be a pretty strong indicator that TNA is heavily shopping its programming right now. I was told earlier this week by multiple sources that there were up to 5 platforms the company was talking with, including streaming options," posted Alba on X after news of TNA's new blood and blading policy was made known. Of course, this new blading policy was revealed last week, with PW Insider confirming that TNA had recently informed their talents that excessive bleeding and blading would now be banned after the upcoming dog collar match between Steve Macklin and Eric Young on TNA's weekly Impact show next week, which will be the final match to allow blood. It was noted that accidental blood is expected, such as a bloody nose or mouth. This would still be allowed, but purposeful bleeding would now be stopped. And it is likely to expect any accidental excessive bleeding will cause matches to halt until the blood has ceased. Now, there is no word on who TNA have been speaking with regards to broadcasting options. TNA's flagship show Impact currently airs on Access TV in the US, owned by by TNA's owners Anthem. The promotion also distributes programming and all live events on its TNA Plus subscription service. Of course, if we get any more details on that, we'll let you know in an upcoming video. Now, Shelton Benjamin had some words for WWE Hall of Famer Hulk Hogan. After Hulk Hogan called him by the wrong name multiple times in different interviews, Shelton Benjamin has issued a response. A clip has been circulating on social media of Hogan calling Benjamin by the name Benjamin Shelton while appearing on the Pat McAfee show and while speaking with TMZ Sports. The latter was to promote Hogan and Eric Bischoff's new Real American Freestyle organization, and Hogan named Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle, and Benjamin Shelton as some of the amateur wrestlers who have found success in pro wrestling. In response, Benjamin tweeted the following and accompanied it with a gif of Will Smith saying, "Keep my name out your effing mouth." Quote, "Message to Hulk Hogan. You lost me forever with your don't get caught, or as you would call it, apology speech," Benjamin wrote. "So rather than screw up my name and pretend we ever had any sort of camaraderie, which we never had, please do me a favor and keep my name out your effing mouth." Now, Benjamin is referencing a speech Hogan gave to the WWE locker room in 2018 when he was reinstated into the WWE Hall of Fame. That was Hogan's return to the company following a 2015 racism scandal on a leaked tape from years prior, where Hogan used the N-word multiple times and admitted to being racist to a point. Hogan's speech to the locker room included him urging them to be careful because everyone has cell phones and cameras now, and some people took it as Hogan being more concerned with being caught than being remorseful for his actions. Hogan has said he believes that's an incorrect interpretation of his apology. Benjamin was released by WWE in 2023 and has since joined AEW, where he holds the AEW World Tag Team titles with Bobby Lashley. The Hurt Syndicate Associate MVP also responded to the clip of Hogan getting Benjamin's name wrong, saying, quote, "pathological lying piece of human excrement," he said on X. Now let's go over to WWE Raw on Netflix and the latest viewership updates. As one would expect, the Raw after WrestleMania proved to be a fruitful episode for both WWE and Netflix. For the first time since Raw's second week on the streaming platform, the show drew over 3.5 million views over the course of the week and an immense 8.7 million hours viewed, the highest total Raw has done since its debut episode. The only question that remained was whether Raw could keep the momentum coming out of WrestleMania or if the red brand would slide back into its normal levels. Unfortunately, the answer was the latter. WrestleNomics is reporting that the April 28th episode of Raw drew a total of over 3 million views over the course of that week. While that number did keep Raw above 3 million views, it was a notable dip from the previous week to the number of views Raw had settled into throughout most of its first Netflix run. The same happened when it came to the hours viewed, which fell back to 5.8 million, around the usual for that category. Better news came in the form of Raw's global and domestic rankings, where Raw had also done well last week. Despite the lower numbers, they did even do better this go-around, of Raw placing 4th globally, rising 1 spot from 5th last week. In the United States, Raw remained consistent, placing in 3rd place. This has become the norm for the red brand, which has now been 3rd in Netflix's US rankings for 3 straight weeks and 5 out of the last 8. Raw continued to build upon the new alliance between Seth Rollins, Bron Breakker and Paul Heyman, who followed up their attacks on CM Punk and Roman Reigns by dismantling Sami Zayn, who took 3 Breakker spears and 1 Rollins curb stomp to close the show. Now let's go to WWE's acquisition of AAA Lucha Libre. Now on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer talked about the signings and clarified that for now, most if not all the signings when it comes to the AAA situation. Again, this has caused quite a stir about how these have all come together. Now, as I mentioned, WWE caused a bit of a stir on Monday when reports emerged that the promotion had reached deals with several AAA luchadors, including AAA Mega Champion Alberto Del Rio. The stir was less about new talents being brought into WWE, however, and more concern given past accusations against Del Rio regarding domestic violence and sexual assault, as well as his troubled history with, I guess, the law, and also the troubled history between another signing, La Hidera, and NXT Women's Champion Stephanie Vaquer. Now, on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer talked about the signings, as I mentioned, and clarified that for now, most if not all the signings were to keep them in AAA only, not to bring them to WWE. He also gave more insight into the motives of WWE in locking down these talents. Quote, "So these signings are for the Mexican market," Meltzer said. It's not like Alberto's going to show up on Raw or SmackDown, although Vikingo may, at least on NXT, I would expect. But that's the basics. This is not an extension of their AAA contracts. This is new. These are new deals, and more people are expected to sign new deals. These are only the ones thus far that have been executed. And I mean, it makes sense in the sense of WWE. I don't want to use the word paranoid, it's the wrong word, but WWE is very guarded to make sure they don't fall into the situation that AEW fell in when they put Stephanie Vaquer on Forbidden Door, while WWE had the opportunity to snag her and bring her in. And AEW did as well, so they didn't want to expose someone on this, particularly on the Los Angeles show. I think anybody who's on the Los Angeles show, they want a WWE contract with them to make sure that AEW doesn't sign them. Now, as far as the reaction of AAA's rival, that being CMLL, which of course is AEW's partner in Mexico, we have an update on that too. WWE's purchase of AAA has sent reverberations throughout the wrestling world, with AAA's main rival in Mexico, CMLL, keeping a close eye on the situation. Despite WWE stating that AAA will continue to produce traditional Lucha Libre, despite AAA being established as an alternative to traditional Lucha, CMLL has seemingly used this to their advantage, hammering home that they are proudly Mexican-owned and operated and the home of Lucha Libre. Speaking on the Super Luchas podcast, Ernesto Ocampo states that CMLL are excited by this new scenario. Quotes, "That's why they started emphasizing that it's a 100% Mexican company, that it's true Mexican wrestling, and that as long as Arena Mexico exists, wrestling will never die. They're very excited," stated Ocampo. Despite internal optimism within CMLL, alongside a strong working relationship with New Japan and AEW, they are potentially leaving themselves exposed to WWE's whims, with a planned change of CMLL programming and contracts scrapped in the wake of WWE's purchase of AAA. Quotes, "Furthermore, they told the wrestlers there would be no changes in their programming on contracts. This news was intended to immediately force them to sign new contracts that would truly lock them in to the highest paying company, whether that's New Japan, Rev Pro, and AEW would be established, but that's not going to happen. Incredibly, that's not going to happen. In other words, they're leaving themselves completely exposed to what WWE intends. And the worst part is that the week AEW is going to be in Mexico is going to be seen as a mega tryout for WWE. The Mexican wrestlers who participate in that episode of Dynamite are going to be in the spotlight because Triple H and Shawn Michaels are going to be watching them, and they're going to say, I like this one, continued Acampo. Now, a bit of an update here when it comes to Tetsuya Naito and his future in professional wrestling, and he says he's not retiring. Following his recent departure from New Japan, Tetsuya Naito spoke with Tokyo Sports for an interview to clear up some misconceptions surrounding his future. Most importantly, Naito revealed that he isn't retiring from wrestling. Furthermore, he plans on moving to the next stage after undergoing eye surgery and stem cell treatment on his right knee. He said, quote, some people may be under the wrong impression, but I'm not retiring or anything like that. First of all, I want to take the time to maintain my body. Then I want to move on to the next stage. I want to continue preparing for the next stage while undergoing various treatments, Naito told Tokyo Sports. According to the outlet, Naito is set to undergo the eye surgery on May 7th. This comes after a separate surgery that he underwent after being diagnosed with a bilateral superior oblique muscle paralysis at the end of 2024. Following his eye surgery, Naito will begin treatment on his right knee. Of course, we get any more details, we'll let you know in a future video on his return to the ring. Now, speaking of Japanese pro wrestling stars, a bit of an update here when it comes to Shinsuke Nakamura. Rumours had emerged stating that WWE had released Shinsuke Nakamura, but it seems such rumours are wide of the mark. Now, the rumours seem to originate online or social media, which some had stated that Nakamura had been released, and it looks like it may be the reports that were out there were written by AI or something like that. Now, a follow-up report from Fightful Select states that Nakamura is still firmly part of WWE, and that nothing suggesting Nakamura has left WWE has come across their desk. Now, many people can lament how Nakamura's star has fallen in WWE over the course of his 9-year run. The King of Strong Stars recently finished his third reign as the United States Champion, one of 8 title runs he has had during his time across WWE's main roster and NXT. Such rumours of Nakamura's exit have been doing the rounds for several months, way ahead of the recent round of WWE talent releases. If WWE were planning on offloading Nakamura, one would assume they would have let him go in the post-Mania cuts alongside the likes of Braun Strowman, Dakota Kai and others, but that is not the case. Now, the update here when it comes to Liv Morgan and her return to WWE programming. Of course, Liv Morgan is off to film a starring role in Bad Lieutenant Tokyo. On a recent episode of Raw, she asked Adam Pearce for time off to film the role. Later that week, it was revealed that she was already headed to Japan to start work on the film. Now, Fightful Select have been told this won't be a situation of Morgan missing months of action as a result. As of now, the wrap date for her is May 16th, with her plan to return to the United States on May 17th. Now, Fightful said they've not learned on when she will return to WWE television. She will miss a minimum of one more episode of Raw as things stand, but of course, we'll have to wait and see. So the suggestion is certainly that, again, she's going to be missing maybe a couple more episodes of Raw, and then possibly she could be back. Chelsea Green, she signed a new contract with WWE. Chelsea Green recently signed a new WWE contract. Fightful Select are reporting that they have learned. Green signed back with WWE back in late 2022 before returning several months later at the 2023 Royal Rumble. Since that time, she's become a WWE Women's Tag Team Champion and the first ever Women's United States Champion. Fightful Select is told her contract would have expired later on in 2025. However, she signed a new multi-year deal. The exact length is not yet known. Green has primarily worked as a singles performer after holding the tag team titles with both Sonya Deville and Piper Niven. And finally, Rhino is set to make an appearance across AEW and Ring of Honor programming this week. Rhino is set to make his All Elite Wrestling debut, with the former ECW World Champion set for the company's upcoming TV tapings in Detroit. AEW revealed the news on social media, stating that the Detroit native will make an appearance during AEW/Ring of Honor's TV tapings on May 7th and May 8th. It was not revealed if the War Machine will be in action or simply be making an appearance. The former NWA World Heavyweight Champion has been a free agent since departing TNA Wrestling in December of last year, and after his upcoming appearance for AEW/ROH, Rhino will be looking to recapture the 10 pounds of gold when he takes on NWA World Heavyweight Champion Tom Latimer at the Crockett Cup on May 17th. Rhino will not be the first former ECW World Heavyweight Champion to appear for AEW, with Rob Van Dam, Sabu, and Raven having made cameos for the company, whilst Jerry Lynn works backstage as a coach/producer, and Taz is part of AEW's commentary team. AEW, of course, recently announced plans to run shows at the legendary former ECW Arena in Philadelphia, with a residency planned in the 2300 Arena in late August/early September of 2025. But there you go, guys, the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.